No, he's sleeping.
Start recording so nobody say anything regrettable.
Why do you have the calculator open?
Welcome to, we'll get to that. Thank you for your question. Welcome to PTRU. This is our first installment. Won't be our last. I just wanted to go over a brief what we're going to be doing and why, and my basic approach, just so you can get a sense of what you're doing here. So what are we doing here, right? What I have written here: studying the mechanics of upcoming fights as deeply as we can, then theorizing strategies and best tools that we can use against the fight. Why are we doing that? I like the idea of this is essentially your first raid night against these bosses, right? And so when expansion launches, we can make the most of our precious time, push our CE goal. The idea kind of is that our first clear will kind of feel like re-clear, and that we know what we're up to, we know what our approach is going into it, so we can really hit the ground running, and we can save more of that time. How are we going to do that? First, like I've been saying, be curious, ask questions, have ideas. This should be an active process. I would much rather this be a discussion type of classroom than a lecture. You guys are going to learn a lot more that way. I'll learn a lot more that way. I can lecture you if nobody's offering anything, but I would love to, you know, talk about stuff and just be curious together. So that's the way that is. Kaio, I see that you're here. If you just want to, I have the next boss discussion open. If you want to just participate, if you have anything you want to say or ask or, you know, theorize about, you can maybe just use the next boss discussion channel for that. And then if it gets way too cluttered, we can just clear it at the end of the night. But we can monitor that as a team. Maybe you can help me monitor that, because I want everybody to be able to participate. Tools. So the way that I want to approach it tonight, I've got some VODs prepared that I think are decent quality for us to learn on. First, I just kind of want to get an idea of the visuals and have a discussion. And then second, we'll look into the tooltips for just a little bit more of an in-depth description of what we're talking about, as much as those tooltips are accurate at this point. Tuning to be determined. I kind of want this to be more of a, somebody just came, who's got a point, 5 points? It's Blast.
Who?
What's up, Blast?
What up?
Exactly.
AKA Blessin. All right, half a point. You're here. Cool. So yeah, I've got the VODs for visuals, tooltips. What I'd like to do is kind of imagine all of these fights more on, they're obviously on PTR not tuned properly, and the abilities don't hit that hard, but imagine them if they were really dangerous, how we would handle them, right? I think that's where we're going to get the most fruitful discussion. And so, yeah, I've got a raid plan up we can use for strategy as well. And then at the very end of the fight, as we're prepping, I just want to watch a VOD again through just from start to finish, just so we can get an idea of the flow of the fight, timings, how it's going to feel to be in there. Just kind of imagine that and have much less discussion and just kind of more observation to wrap it up. Then we might insert like a 5 here of yeah, last observations from that like run through. So that's how I'd like to structure it. We'll see how it actually gets structured. Yeah, so I think we'll just hop right into it, unless you guys have any questions or ideas going into it. Okay, cool. War Council? Question mark? All right.
Hold on.
So let's make sure you guys can see this. If I swap tabs, you guys can see the screen, right?
Yeah.
This is okay? Okay. So I'm going to have these up for tooltips. First boss, Ulgrax. He's a first boss.
Wait, I hate to interrupt. Where's that link so I can have that open myself too? Sorry. I'm sure it's somewhere.
I can drop it. It's not actually, but I can drop it in next boss discussion. We're going to be using that for our little chat room if you want to take a look. But we can mostly stay tuned to the screen here because we're going to dig into that stuff together. But that's cool too. Okay, so first boss is a first boss. He's a hungry guy. That's what I know about him. He's the hungry one. So good thing Blast is here. We're trying to feed people. We're going to start with Kalamazu's perspective just because his quality is decent. And just see this. Model is sick, by the way. He's like a big crawfish. He's like a killer crawdad. Anyway, my southern is coming out there. So let's take a look.
He must be playing with arachnophobia mode on.
No. So first thing that happens, right, is these... I mean, actually the first thing that happened is there's a tank debuff. It's similar to... What was the first boss in Nathria called? The gargoyle chick?
Shriekwing?
Yeah, Shriekwing. She had hit you and put like a 10 stack, and basically at a 10 stack you cannot be healed. So you swap tanks once you get hit with the debuff. I think it's like called Tenderize or something along those lines. Is that what it's called? Brutal Crush, maybe.
The crash, but then tenderizes the buff up behind her debuff.
Yep. This says it does. So that's 6 million damage. So that's interesting. Stalker's Webbing is what you're seeing here. All of this around, I believe. I believe that 4 million damage when it hits would be if you were in the swirly when like those land. That's not, they don't do that much damage. In the nature damage here seems a little, this is I think if you're in there. Whereas traps players rooting them for 8 seconds. Yeah, and then you suffer 402k. Just to give you an idea of like how this is hitting, I think it's like 4.5 million is a typical health pool in the raid right now. So that's not too much. It's like 10% of your health every 2 seconds, but you're rooted there. So that's what we've seen so far. He did an AoE burst. It puts a dot out on the raid, so it's just an AoE heal. Not too huge. And then he does this guy. This Soki guy, which I believe is a whole zone map. Nice. This guy is like kind of similar to Eye of the Jailer, as I understand it. It's that soak mechanic, but it also sucks you into the boss, and then he eats you. So somebody will give us I think their Holy Paladin gives us a good idea of this right now. But they don't know that, and so they bring that soak in really close, and it pulls somebody in and lets this guy gets chomped. There's a nice crunchy sound too when you get chomped. So by the way, you can just press buttons like, I think Death's Advance would work, Freedom, that sort of thing, and run through these. I don't know if that would work on Mythic because it stuns you, but it just roots you on Heroic and that sort of thing.
Maybe immunity, like Turtle?
Yeah, and I think I missed the other mechanic. Yes, these little circles, you can clear patches of it with those little circles, so you have an option to...
Earthbound Fortitude or Bubble should do the same thing then.
Right. Bubble might even work on Mythic when it converts into a root. So they've got this, the pull-in mechanic. They're wise to it. They soak it a little further out. The cool part about these pulls in this raid, and something to think about, is that it pulls you, and this is just the way it worked on Eye of the Jailer, but if you didn't do that fight, it pulls you more depending on how many people soak. So it's less violent if more people soak with you. But it hits harder and pulls you harder if less people soak.
Is there a dot that it leaves?
It doesn't.
Like, so half take it at one point?
I think that might be there on Mythic, but I couldn't read that in the dungeon journal. That was what I was suspecting would be there on Mythic. But We'll just focus on heroic for today, but... So yeah, that
At
just
one
rinse
point-
repeats.
They have everybody just standing in the like soaking their own puddle almost to clear.
So the boss there to transition into P2, he jumped to the middle and knocked you back. So you would just want to be aware of that, like when that happens. It's when he's at 0 energy, by the way. This is kind of like his hunger bar. Yeah, less energy is good for us, I believe. No, actually, less energy means his stomach isn't full. Think of the energy bar like his stomach. And so now he's super hungry. And check this out. Oh, he just dives into the void pool, dude. That's so sick. We have to run that back. That looks so cool. You're later. I think that animation is sick. Plus this animation is so cool. So he's got this portal and he's going to be charging across. Something that's easy to miss.
Do those circles do damage, or they're just telegraphing?
No, this is just a telegraph here. He'll do damage to everybody when he's going to do a charge from one end to the other. He's like playing Portal. He's got a portal on one end and the other. We can only see one right now. And then when he hits the other portal, it detonates and hurts everybody even more if you're within 20 yards of his ending point. So the starting point's not a big deal, but the ending point does more damage to you. And then this is where ads kind of start spawning, so you're dodging, move away from that. And he's going to just keep doing this. I think he gets hit here. Oh, he almost did. By the way, he's targetable here, so you can like send like a dot or like hit him DPS, just in case that's useful to you. Some classes that'll be much more useful than others. And then these spawns, just kind of annoying. For the most part, the disembowel, I believe whoever they're on puts a bleed on them. So you can see the like the Ren dot on different players. So I believe they're stunnable. You can group them up and then just stun them and kill them. But they're like running all over the place and they're kind of disorganized here. Which is fine. It's their first pull. So yeah, and that's it. And then he, well, kind of, actually. So we can just watch that back and discuss this. But he spawns these guys, as you've seen. He keeps doing this, rinse, repeat. I think that first phase is fairly self-explanatory, and then he's got the yoink, where he'll, yoink you in. And so that's rinse, repeat. He's doing this a little further away. I kind of like that. But he soloed it and died. Which was pretty cool. They're testing stuff out. Let's see if they can do it. I'll go ahead and zoom forward. We can see the cool intermish again. And then what happens afterwards is important. There's like one more part to the fight that we haven't seen yet. My favorite part coming up. Oh. So he spawns his swarm here, and then he jumps into the portal. And these are separate little egg sacs that he spawned. They're not the same ones as the ones that like root you. So I think it's really important that the raid group stays together here, right, to help group up the ads and also for healing. So there will be different ways that we can think about that. But I've got some ideas we can go over afterwards. And so you'll notice, actually, if you're paying close attention, there are little sparkles on the ground. There's lootable items on the ground. When you kill the ads, they leave behind juicy meat. And so he starts at 0 energy, and they're basically trying to fill his energy bar or his stomach by feeding him. And that's an extra action button, by the way. You pick up what's on the ground, press the extraction button when you're close, and it raises his energy bar. Otherwise, he does the billows, raging billows or whatever, and it does raid damage to the group. It does more and more raid damage the longer that it takes, so feed him as quickly as possible, basically. And they're not really doing that, and it's PTR, so it's not punishing them, but it could be that these abilities are really dangerous, actually tuning on live when we hit it, so good to know these things. Yeah, it literally did like a no damage. And they finally, he says still hungry, but it's because he's full, and then it goes back to the beginning. So we got the 100% debuff on tanks. He's gonna send the webs. Yep. Those green things will clear the webs. Help soak with your friendos. Don't get yoinked under the boss or you get chopped. A few ticks. And then that's pretty much it.
You know if you could gateway after you got after you soak?
You can, yeah.
Okay.
You definitely could. Cool. And he drops loot. So I don't know if there are mechanics that you guys want to know more about there from what we've seen. Let's see if we didn't talk about any of them. Hunger-induced rage, discharge. Oh, he leaves behind more webbing when he does that charge in the intermission. I didn't notice that on that one. Maybe on the last watch through we'll double check and see if that happens. Detonation to players, yeah, within 20 yards. So it looks like, what is that, 8 million damage. So yeah, it should be a one shot as he's traveling across, and then it's less. So
it's a pretty
yeah,
heavy dot, period.
800k between to players within 20 yards. So it like doubles your damage you take if you're within 20 yards. And then yeah, the dot's not too bad. I mean, if you consider, yeah, we're at like 4.5 million, maybe more HP. That's not huge, but yeah, I think it's important for us to stay together for healing during that part.
Where else do you pop the healing cooldowns? It's got to be the spot in the fight.
Probs. This is when he comes back up at the end of his charging. He does a reverse portal where he comes up from the ground. It's the bellows, inflicting nature damage every 1 second for 3 seconds with the bellows. His rage builds, increasing his nature damage afflicted by 10% for 30 seconds. Yeah.
My hunter has 5.5 with 611 gear.
Oh, so we might even, okay. We
Yeah,
might even have
that's-
more. It just might be for testing. They're tuned down to lower gear.
Yeah,
Or they
and that-
were during this point in time.
And that's without pet out too, so I'd have even more.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a good measure for where we might be. This is the thing where he jumped to the middle, I believe, and knocked us back. Anybody within 300 yards. Okay, so you're not outranging it. Knocks
That's
all
the
players
big blue one, right?
Nah, he like jumped right before he did the blue portal. He jumped to the middle, spawned the ads, and then went down under. So we'll go over that again. So just some ideas for that fight. I think what's gonna be best is like a tank in the corner. So we spawn this crap here because ultimately I think during the intermission we're going to want to play as close to the center, like within this triangle as we can, so we're just within range of all healers, and we can group up the ads so that we don't have like ads running off, you know, to chase somebody way out here, and tanks can group them up a lot better.
In the intermission, it seems safer to be on an edge to me than in the middle, because you're always going to have him traveling through the middle, right?
Yes and no,
Whereas
right? Because you got the extra damage you take if you're within 20 yards of the end point. So you have less you need to shift. If you're towards an end point, you can just shift a little bit away from the middle. So I don't know. I see what you're saying, though. You could like win the lottery and then basically not have to move if you're on the edge. But you could also be in big danger.
You're gonna have a lot more movement, because you're gonna have to at least get out of the way of the charge constantly on everyone, and it'll be a little bit maybe like off center a little bit, and so you might get lucky at times even in the middle, right? But I don't know, if you pick the side, like you could get unlucky and like all of a sudden like every single one you're having to move from, but chances are you're going to miss like 70% of them.
Yeah. So it's either you're kind of moving all the time, like little dodges as a group with this one, and then if you're on the edge, you might have to do like a big move at some point together. And I don't know theoretically which is better of those two. I think it kind of depends, because the ads are a part of it. The ads also kind of spawn around the center part, because he jumps to the center and then spawns the ads. He doesn't spawn the ads on the edge. So that may be something to consider, that they're like a little bit takes longer to group them up and get them done with. Some of that depends on tuning and whether or not that's a big deal or not, right? Not sure what would be best with that, but that's interesting to think about. And then I think either way, you have what you could do then, maybe, Sim, if we played it that way, maybe you tank him in the middle then. Right? And then that spawns all the crap, and then the team runs to an edge together.
You would think like any edge would probably be clear, right? And so you go to whatever edge works, and then like the ads will take longer to come, but like if everybody's grouped up, they'll funnel in still, right?
Yeah, they'll still come in. Yeah, depending on if there's a problem like with timing, like let's say, I don't know, like the ads have enough health and you want to have them down before he comes up again, so that you could be ready to feed him right away. I don't know. I just could see maybe a scenario where that would be less good, but I think because we don't know the final tuning, it's hard to say what would be better.
Did you notice if like looting the guy, like the ads, does that have a timer on it? Like you have to use like feed within a certain amount of time? I didn't notice in Kalamaz's videos when I watched it.
Oh yeah. We could check that out on our next watch. That's a good call out. Does you mean if you kill him early and then loot it, then you're good to go, like you're ready to feed him right as he comes up?
Yeah, but like if it fades and you only have it for X amount of seconds after you loot it, type of a thing, right? You might have to loot and then feed, right?
Yeah. Somebody added me in Discord. Who did I miss? Oh, Kyle, my eyes. Oh, is it because it's because I don't have dark mode on? Here you go, flashbang. All right, so what we're gonna do, I think from here, is just watch that last video. It seems like nobody has any questions or anything that they want to go over on that. It remains to be seen. I don't know with the soak mechanic if we'll need to split a group 1 or a group 2, but I think what's best for that is probably to take it into more of like a, like if this is the soak, right? Take it to like an intermediate zone, like not in melee per se, but not like all the way out at ranged. I think like somewhere kind of intermediate, so that it gives people the most leeway.
What's interesting is there's no heroic ability.
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah, for now. Some of this remains to be seen.
Can you only soak like once type of a thing, or like can we always put that at range and just have range do it so melee have full uptime?
So that's a good question. I think this is the your veins burn, so you get nature damage on you every 2 seconds, but it's only for 6 seconds. Interesting. Maybe these aren't connected, actually. This one seems more like if you get trapped in the netting. I don't think it's tied to this, the pull-in mechanic. I think these tooltips are all messed up, actually. Oh no, this looks like it might be the frontal. Let me see if I can find the one that is the one that sucks you in. I don't know if I know what that's called now. I thought it was the lash. What is he doing right now? Did he... Stalker's webbing. Does he have a cast venomous lash? Okay, so that's this. Okay, okay. Oh, and so what it was talking about were these circles afterwards. The dot and those circles.
And that's what clears the webbing on the ground, right?
Yes, yeah, that's one of the things. Brutal lashings is what this is called. I don't know if I have a tooltip for this. Brutal crash. That's the cone attack. I don't think I have brutal lashings.
Want me to read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Ulgrax lashes himself to a player and all of their allies within 10 yards, inflicting 23 million nature damage divided between all lashed players and 489,000 every 1 second while lashed. He then engages in a carnivorous contest, pulling all lashed players toward him. The strength of Ulgrax's pull is reduced by the number of lashed players. If fewer than 6 players are lashed into the center, Ulgrax enters an arrogant rage.
Oh, okay. The fewer than 6 player thing is really important. Okay, cool. It doesn't say it does a dot. Does it say how long the dot is afterwards, Swabbles?
You know what? That was mythic. The six players is mythic.
Oh, so you have to do it. You can't like sack somebody, I guess, in mythic, but it's
Heroic doesn't have that in that
Okay, so in current
designation.
design, they're not making you form like a group 1, group 2. Basically, anybody can soak them at any point in time. So yeah, we could have a scenario where like some classes are just better at it, and some like it's really bad for them to do it.
That's interesting. They're making it so you can't immunity stuff. It's kind of like Taros. You take it out and it doesn't split, and so everybody pays the price, right?
Yes.
So,
right.
That's interesting.
Yep, definitely something to note.
My
Cool.
question would be, does it pull everyone in, or just the players that get hit by
Just
it?
the soak, yep.
Yeah, it's literally the same mechanic as Eye of the Jailer, even down to the animation. So you could I don't know, we only used to do I guess on heroic if it's not limited, not like heroic matters, but you just if somebody has like death advance, you just walk out and nobody else sucks.
Yep. Yeah, so you can, on normal and heroic, you could solo it, right? But they only add that 6 player minimum on mythic. It seems like it's kind of whatever works best for your group, and players can basically soak it if it's good for them and convenient, and if it's one of those things where it's going to completely screw you to do it, you might be able to skip out, and I don't think it kills people. But that's dependent on tuning, right? Since it's a split damage thing. It might just be everybody in the pool all the time, no exceptions.
And it's a first boss. Like,
yep.
I can't imagine that it'll be that bad.
Yeah, yeah.
I could literally solo it.
It and wolves.
Okay, so let's do one more watch through. We'll do it from this mustachioed's point of view, and see if we pick up anything. We'll look for a debuff for when he picks up, if he picks up food. Anything else we want to watch for? Oh, during the charge, if he throws out like a lot of webs when he's charging, that'd be interesting to note. We'll just kill it here. They're bored of this fight. They've already pulled it for an hour. That guy just yeeted himself off the edge. Okay, so
This point of view is the best.
I don't think he died. The guy who fucking yeeted himself off.
I think he was this. I think he was this player.
No, I think they were dead beforehand.
Now we need to figure this out. Yeah, I think you're right. Okay, it was a boomkin though.
Yeah, the two people are just dead on pole.
This is not. Okay, as a boomkin, he jumps off the edge, and Vipin Dots is who it is. Does he just live down there? I wonder if he's flapping forever. Yeah, it's this guy.
He's out of range, that's for sure. Out of range of this point POV.
That's interesting observation. Yeah, you could just step in a web and root yourself. If you wanted to not get sucked in.
I can barely hear his audio. That's what you're referring to.
Yeah, that is what I'm referring to. And that's fine. I didn't want us to listen to their comms, per se.
I'm going to say that guy is dead and there's just a bug.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's actually not that bad if you get pulled into a web, because it just roots you. You take a little bit more damage. But on Mythic, though, I think it stuns you, and you get encased in webbing or something, and people have to break you out. It's something to that nature.
Back to Senoth. Good times.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, but there apparently is no slippy slidey ice at times. We're going to call this a step up.
So he jumped to the middle.
God, dude.
He's transitioning to P2.
Wait, don't you have Death's Advance?
It doesn't change anything for the slippery ice.
Oh. Okay.
So they're stacking to test something here.
Apparently it's shared.
It's not. It's just not tuned like it should be.
Oh.
So yeah, there's the chunky stuff. Does he pick one up? I don't see that he's trying. He's doing damage.
Got a pat on those ads.
They need to tune those mages down. That's kind of stupid.
Agreed.
They did just recently. So that's a one-shot when he comes out of the ground like that. It looks like a one-shot though, so that's not crazy.
They aren't doing nearly what the Warlocks are doing though on other people's streams.
They need to tune the Warlocks down too.
He did it? I don't think he picked anything up here. Did you guys notice any extra webs when he was charging?
I was looking. I didn't see any. I thought, I was looking to see if he was dropping them or whatever because of the ability. I didn't really see
I didn't see it either. It's not
any
that
new webs
noticeable.
coming down.
Maybe it's supposed to work that way and it's
What's
not
it
yet.
called?
Something webbing.
So what we're asking about is during the Juggernaut charge,
Stalker netting.
leaving Stalker netting in his wake. But I didn't see that he was doing that at all.
Well, I'm assuming stalker netting is a little piles on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
See that? See there? You see, he added a bunch there, but I didn't see any of that getting added when he charging.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. So that'll be something to think about too. We might actually, because the randomness of the charges, we might just go to the edge and just go to like clear areas during the intermission sim. like depending on how that goes.
Yeah.
Subscribe. Oh, like as well. This guy's getting greedy.
You bitch.
Cool. We can go back here really quick. I think Kalamazoo does loot it. Okay, so he's got that. Okay, I think it's 2 minutes. I think it's this one. That's the viscous chunk.
And then you have plenty of time to loot and then just hold.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay.
At least on testing. Cool. Any final ideas or remarks about this guy before we move on to the next one?
Press play for a second. I want to see if he leaves any.
Oh, for in this charge?
Yeah, didn't see anything he dropped.
Because these two were here already.
Yeah.
That one was there. Yeah. It's maybe just not working as intended. Good call. Cool. So, first boss. Seems like we can do about 20 minutes a boss. This is obviously one of the simplest. It actually, I think, has more going for it than some of the later ones, but yeah. Looks cool. Looks cool. I really like the way the intermission looks, obviously. When he yeets himself into the pool, I think that's so cool. You don't expect him to do that.
Bringing back the sarcophagus.
Yeah, yeah. The void? The void is coming? Okay, alright. That sounds like you guys are done with that one. Cool. So let's go to the next one, which is called Bloodbound Horror. He is chilling, stationary boss in the middle.
He looks sick.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like carnage up in here.
It's like void carnage.
So this is one of those typical up phase, down phase types of fights where ads spawn on what you would call the down phase. I don't really like that terminology here though, because you can actually hit the boss in the down phase and interact with, do some things that interact with your players on the quote upside. It's more like it gives you sight so you can see the ads. So I don't know what that verb terminology would be, but anyway, you get the idea. We can just hit play and talk about what's going on. Oh, the warrior just died insta. Okay, so you can see that ads are spawning over here on this side. So this is just one of those types of fights that looks like you would just split the group into 2 groups, and you'd have a group go down with their tank, and then the second group would go down the next time. How you go down is like a Kingsmorn style frontal. So Dratnos jumps over there, frontal's over here. You got tons of time to get in here, by the way. Look at that. And so now the ads spawn. What's interesting about this to me is that you can't tell what the ads are or what they're going to be, I don't think, until you get hit. So you kind of have to react to whatever shows up there. So whenever people come down, you got these puddles that shoot up. Those guys, not too hard to dodge. You just need to kind of stay moving and watch yourselves. And then there's cutter beams. As far as I know, these cutter beams always go anti-clockwise around the room, always. So tanks, something interesting to be of note, depending on tuning, is when you know those cutter beams are coming, which they really, they telegraph pretty hard. And they always go to his flanks, so his left and right. You can actually control where these are going to spawn. I don't know at this point if it's locked in or you can rotate him from here. It looks like you can. It looks like you can rotate a little bit. So in my mind, I think this is one of the cooler parts of the fight. The tanks can help optimize depending, because the ad spawns down here, they get more and more, and they're kind of random. So the top tank can really help out the group a lot by how they face this boy and how the first laser spawns. So what I would do if I were you is I would probably focus on this left laser and putting that in a spot where it's going to give them the most time. Maybe the easiest way to talk about that is just talk about show it here. So like in this case, there were some ads over here, whatever. We'll talk about what those ads do here in a moment. I would think you'd want to position about here. Like, let's say they're still fighting him. They killed him right away, so none of this matters for that, but that's depending on tuning. But I would like be about here-ish, so it shoots a beam like this a ways. I'm making a beam. I'm making something, right? The cutter beam this-ish way, because then it starts to, will this work? It will not. I can't rotate it around the centralized point of this. But anyway, you kind of get the idea where this cutter would start going this way, right? And then you've got more time for, if there's this cutter, for it to start coming around to them. So I think this is something kind of optimal, depending on how it's tuned, right? And how fast these guys die. But it's something to think about with that placement. You've got a lot of control over how smooth this can go, and controlling these ads seems like the biggest part of the fight. It's a control fight.
Do you know the people who are on the ads, can they see the puddles that are being dropped from
Yes.
the people who are in the up phase?
Yes, and they can hit them, yep. They can see everything. The only thing that's different when you're in the down phase is you can see these ads and actually target them. They're not like see-through, they're actually filled in, and you can target them. And I think your screen is a little purplish. Anyway, I think he goes down on this one. We'll see. So there's heal absorbs. There's like this blood that's raining down all the time, and it puts in heal absorbs on people. You get this fixated reticle on you if you're dropping puddles. It looks like you only need to move like once every 2 seconds or so. So the new ad spawned. I don't know if that actually is an indicator of what type of ad they are, by the way. Oh no, I can't full screen. Exit full screen. I don't know if, see how this ad is like smaller and then this one's got the circle above it. I don't know if that correlates to what actually is spawning. Probably does though. So we might want to like translate the hieroglyphics there and know like which spawn animation spawns it. So we got the guy with off of the little puddle, the guy with the hood or like the little jut up spawned. So we'll have to test this for consistency. The little jut guy spawned off the little pool, and then the one with the big circle spawned the guy that's movable and tankable. This one with the hood behind here, it's unfortunate POV right now. We'll look into it when we have a better POV. Okay, so that was rinse repeat. It looks like so groups 1 and groups 2 went down. For lack of a better term. And then I think you want to group up here, because what's going to happen is he's going to cast something called Gore Splatter. Yep, he spawned a gate. They already know what's going to come. And so it'll spawn a really obvious mechanic of like, get the heck away. I believe. Yep, right here. So you can either gate out or gate back in, depending on what you like. I think it's a good use of gate. But it leaves a nasty dot on you. If you watch like people ticking, it's actually quite a bit of damage. And then I think we rinse repeat from there. We have the up phase and the down phase. So if we're right, this guy is going to be a guy that moves around and is tankable and doesn't have a hood. And then this guy is going to be a non-tankable hooded guy. And this guy should be too. This guy should be a non-tankable hooded guy if we're reading the signals.
So the tank always needs to be on the big circle spawn.
Probably, if that's the case. I don't actually know. So yeah, you got the Watcher here. Yeah, it's tankable with the hood. This one's, yep, so that's the coding. So these ones are actually, in my opinion, more important. They manifest horror. It's an ad that basically tries to get to the Bloodbound horror. And if it does, it nukes the raid and puts a big old dot on the raid. So this is what it looks like to be in the down phase. You got these horrors. You want to like slow them, stun them, whatever you can. But I think the play as a tank is you want to pick up the Watcher and bring it to a Harbinger, right? The ones that are summoning the horrors. And so that you can just cleave down the Watcher. DPS, the Watcher is lower priority. Highest priority, the horrors. You don't want those to reach the boss. Harbingers that spawn the horrors. And then the Watcher is last. You just kind of cleave that Watcher down. The tank can tank it, I think.
Are they grippable?
I don't think so. I haven't seen a group do that. They could be. The horrors might be. Although I heard that Ring of Peace didn't work on the horrors as of right now. So they might not be knockable, but I think they are like binding shotable. So things like that. Stuns and slows I think work, but like displacements maybe not.
Man, I love that they're nerfing monks already. Look at that.
Is Imper here? Oh,
Yeah,
Imper's
I'm
here.
here.
Hello.
My mom just came into town, so
Let me record you. You also get 0.5
sorry for being
points.
a little bit late.
You're good, dude. I just didn't know you got here. Okay, cool. So yeah, cutter beams are super obvious. You're going to feel real bad by getting hit by those because it's a really long channel time for them to start, and then they go pretty slow. I'm hoping on Mythic there's more beams, or maybe they're faster. That'd be cool. This is, I think, the second boss, by the way, in here. Could be third, depending on your route. So that's fairly rinse repeat. Yeah, this void dot, nasty. Probably a really good use of personal right there. Okay, so yeah, tank is on the guy with the circle. Kind of a bummer, right? Like, you need to kill this Harbinger over here, but he is on the exact opposite side. So if I were the tank, you'd want to spawn your right beam over here, and it pushes like your team around the back, probably, like the down team around the back, so that they can get to this guy and have the most time, because they're going to need the most time on this one, right? So there's a lot for the up tank, I think, to think about that can optimize what's going on for the down group.
Would you want them chasing the beam or having the beam push them?
I think having the beam push them. Because when they get there, they'll have the most time once they get there, right?
True. And that's going to be the tightest window.
Yeah, it depends, though, because you might actually want it to be more like this if these guys are so beefy and they take a long time. We don't know if these will go down quickly, or you want to push them if these go down quickly. You don't want to push them, right, if these take a little time. And then if these take time, the guys are spawning horrors that you don't want to get over here, so we might have like something where I split like hunters or mages into different groups so that somebody can cross the beam and actually be over here alone to fight like far harbingers. So like, yeah, mages and hunters would be good for this. Paladin could like bubble and run through. Yeah, hunter can turtle and run through the beam and be fine. And they could also like help CC and kill the ads. So there might be something like that where we need to have like a contingency plan. Sometimes this guy will spawn over here. So that there's a huge randomness to this fight currently. They might mess with that and make it less random how it spawns, but as of right now it's fully random, and so this is a kind of a cursed spawn.
I hear like lock. So I guess from what I'm getting, lock ports, stuff like that will be very, very beneficial.
Also that good point. Yeah, lock portal would work very well. Void elf would work well, and yeah, monk transcendence could work to get across the beam as well. So they would be good candidates for going for that far Harbinger. I wouldn't want anybody over there away from the group that can't deal with the beam and would just be like stuck on the opposite side.
Just getting blasted.
Yeah, he's amazed at how hard this is. So we still got a group of 2 here, and then there's an odd group, or an odd Harbinger that's spawning over there. There's 2 actually. 2 Harbingers spawned on this side, so yeah, it's ramping up. I think it's something like every time he gore splatters, you get another ad, like another Harbinger. I don't think you can get more than one of the tank ad, not sure. At least currently. So this, I don't think is a great spawn of cutters for them. But, you know, they're wiping, so that's whatever. Yeah, so these are the horrors, the little guys that are reaching the group. That's what happened there. That's basically why everybody died. That pulsing damage off of him. So yeah, the little ones off of there. Cool. So that's basically the way that one is. You just have group 1 swing over to the left. We'd probably just, yeah, always start on the one with the orb, so look for the orb one. But DPS doesn't actually kill the orb one, that's just where we're starting for positioning. You kill the one with the hood, the non-orb ones. Does it always
spawn one there? Is it random enough that like you could have them like 3-way split across the platform?
I don't know exactly. It's looking pretty consistent that one Harbinger 2, like, or Harbinger 1 spawns near the Watcher. The caster spawns near the Watcher. But if once you start getting to Harbinger 2, that one can spawn like randomly, it seems. But yeah, it seems like you'll always have one that's kind of close by. Yeah, that's the case here. So he hasn't done the gore splatter, so you don't get another Harbinger yet. Manifest Horror. I don't think that Manifest Horror is stoppable at all. He just casts it.
Oh, they just gripped one of the thingies.
Well, they gripped a whore. They didn't grip the main dude, right? I think was
Correct,
the difference.
correct. It was the little whore guy. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, then at least you can have the horrors stacked on top of each other, right?
Yeah.
Like, Vin's works great. If A-Bomb Limb works, great.
Yep. I think so.
What was cool is they just did what you said, stacking the one guy on the other guy. They just like instantly cleaved that thing.
Yep. Yeah, this is a good guild. These players understand understand the game pretty well.
So how much does the puddle hurt? I see them jumping over it.
So it doesn't give you a debuff. It looks like it's only ticking like while you're in it, and so it's just a.
It's a massive hit.
Okay.
I think tanks or like rogues can stay in. It's one of those type of things. If you just have like a massive personal, you could use it there and stay in and live.
I think he was talking about the blood puddle that you walk through.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, no debuff, just ticks a little bit.
Okay. So it's not like game changing if you just jump across or jump a bit short.
Okay. No, it doesn't seem like it. I think that'll be in the tooltip, so we can analyze that here in a second. So yeah, let's look at the spawn. So, okay, yeah, so this, I think there's one right here, right? This is better by a long shot. This is much closer. It's not all the way over here. So yeah, you can get some decent spawns, and there's always seems to be one that's close. But that second one, you can get some decent spawns on that. I don't know.
I wonder if it's like platform based. Like you're gonna get, you see how they're like broken in sections. Like you're always gonna get one together and then one on a different platform.
Maybe, but it's random, like which one of the other like 3 platforms that it'll be on.
Yeah.
Could be. That'd be interesting
so
to
it's like
check
Plaguefall.
if they never spawn. Like, it would consider them separate if they never spawn in the water here. Dratnos playing warrior.
Yeah, it's Dratnos beefy.
So this is a that's an okay spawn of beams. Yeah, I think that was okay for them. It's interesting to think about, like what would have been ideal for them here. I guess this was good because they were still here killing this guy. Actually, would have been better if the beam was a little higher, probably. But since the whole group was right here, this was a good spawn.
It makes you wonder about the damage check, like on Mythic. Like, are you gonna have to take the ad with you and just like kite a full round around the boss and then keep going, right, and kill it in 2 rounds, type of a thing?
I hope not, because they're continuing to spawn those little guys the whole time, and if you have to run away from them, that's a nightmare.
You have to split your raid almost, right? Have team 1. Oh, well, I guess only the people who got hit though. Okay, yeah.
This is a cool looking mechanic with these little tentacles that come out of the ground. I think they've used that before though. I think that's a recycle on something else. This you definitely don't want to be split for. This is like the big healer moment here. So you don't want the group split. So it's like after 2 sets, each group goes down, you want to like group up. So he's got 2 spawns on the platform and the other one's on a close one, and I don't think there's any on the far side. They said perfect spawn. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. I think they RNG'd into the best possible spawn right here. So this will depend just like everything else on tuning, but if the spawns are fully random and the tuning's hard, if you get cursed spawns, it feels very bad. It feels very bad. If they die pretty quickly anyway, then yeah, so this one, they just got to this ad, and now they have to leave it. So that's kind of rough for them. This hunter turtles it, comes back. He binding shot him. Looks like they knocked him back. Yeah, they're gaming. Cool. So I think we've seen enough of that. Yes, we can just take a look at maybe some of the abilities. Hemostasis, Bloodbound Horror, vomits on the... Oh, this is the tank mechanic. Inflicting shadow damage. Core boss 2, 3, and 5, 6 are both up. Okay, that's how like you split. Yeah, I think that's right.
And that's the main reason they're always on the other side from the group, right? Is they don't want the cone to hit anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, because you only want it to hit the group that you want it to hit, right? Baneful Shift. Black blood, allowing them to see in the realm. It has a toxicity to it, so you're ticking damage. So healers might also want to pop coolies when they're in the down group to heal the down group. On Mythic, maybe that'll be very important. Hell Shocked.
Hey, Core, how often is like, are you only doing that cone every time there's ads out, or do you get that cone more often than that?
Yeah, it was per ad group. There was 1.
Okay.
So it was like the cycle was 2 cone frontals. Yeah, 1 for each tank. And then he does the gore splatter where you run out, and when you run back in, then it goes back and cycles in again. And then each time he does the cone, you're going to have another Harbinger. So the fight ramps up the longer it takes. So Bloodbound Horror spews concentrated blood around itself, inflicting shadow damage. Mythic Heroic. What is this? 5-second casts. inflicting, is that 17 million? So this might be the gore splatter that I was talking about.
So it sounds like the ad group is taking extra damage because of this, because of that horror, right?
Well, the horror is the big guy in the middle. You mean... I think they just have a dot.
Oh, okay.
On the baneful shift. And then the dot's gone, and then the group's up, and then it does this thing. So yeah, 17 million damage if you stay in, looks like. Internal hemorrhage to those who are caught within. We don't have a tooltip for internal hemorrhage, at least not here. Swabbles. You want it? Blood curdle. This one says spewing hemorrhage. This one says gore splatter.
Sorry, what?
I was looking to see if you had a tooltip for internal hemorrhage on the beta.
Internal hemorrhage. I don't think so, unless it's under Mythic.
So the second part of this tooltip says that might be a Mythic mechanic. I'm not sure.
I'm only looking on Heroic, so let me click Mythic.
Kyle found it just by
Did you say Blood Curdle?
doing it in Wowhead.
Blood Curdle is the Mythic.
Inflicts 30 shadow damage every 1 second. Oh, this is easy. Okay, so it just puts a dot on you. The tooltip. Not that the 30 is scaled. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know how to distinguish between these two. This sounds spews contrasted black blood around itself. This might be something that's dodgeable. I don't know. That might be what's going on there. It's like dodgeable tentacles or something. This is the one that's the big circle, and then the dot afterwards. Residual membrane.
The healer thing.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's the healer absorb. This one...
Did you see
This is the
Crimson Rain?
tentacles.
Do you have a Crimson Rain on yours?
I don't currently.
It says Bloodbound Horror rains blood down from the sky, coating all players in black blood. Absorbing 1.3 million healing. That's the healing absorb.
Black Bulwark is a kick in the fight. Lost Watcher. Oh, this is the tank guy. Channels essence of the seeming. Oh, and it shields the boss. Okay. So that's serious. The down group needs to kick the Watcher. Kick the Watcher, kill horrors and homeboys. Okay. Good to know. Oh yeah, and this just says Crimson Rain when you highlight over residual membrane, so yeah, that must be the one. This one is the tentacles. After 3 seconds? Okay, so you can move relatively slowly with this. You don't need to like run around and paint the floor. You can kind of just sit there, finish a cast, then move. Okay, that's good to know. If no players are within reach, Bloodbound Horror continually expels contaminated blood. Oh, this is if the tank's not there. Tank's got to be there. Okay, cool. Oh yeah, this is the kick. The Black Bulwark. This is on the Watcher. He does a Spectral Slam, inflicting Fizz Dam. Yeah, just 7 million physical damage to the tank. No big deal. I think you have like over like 12 million health anyway, so that's like 7 million unmitigated. Not too bad. Forgotten Watcher manifests blood horror. So they're slow already. I don't know if they can be slowed further. That's interesting. Somebody just joined us. Who joined?
Blast sucks.
Oh, what up, Muck? You're back?
What up?
You get points. I'm taking roll.
Oh, we get points?
Yeah.
I would have been here if I knew we got points.
Yeah, you got to have a point for being here, but not on time. That's actually not real. All I'm doing is just taking a roll to see who's here, but the meme is the points. So yeah,
I got 2 points.
No, you didn't. Please don't. Don't spew that into the atmosphere.
So I have more points than Mug? Does that mean I'm better than him?
Yep. The unseeming horror, yeah, slowly moves. That's what we found. Blood pack. So this is the major wipe mechanic, right? Basically, if those little horrors reach the guy, explode, inflicting. What is that? That's 1 million. That's interesting that it's. Kaio probably has more insight on this, but it looks like it's half of what the other stuff is. Like,
we go back down to it,
or it's
we
like,
go back down,
or it's like 1/10, because this is 172,689, and this is 172,689. Yeah, so they're just throwing like some consistent thing that does like scales at like 1/10 or something like that. It's kind of interesting. Cool. What does it do? Inflicting, it's absorbed, and it makes the boss do 5% increased damage when it hits. So it's probably like on lower difficulties, not a wipe. Mythic
like
definitely
the,
a wipe. If the
like the orbs on Smolderthorn.
Smolderon, yeah. Smolderthorn.
Smolderon, sorry.
But yeah, just like that idea. But we can't soak them. We have to kill them. Cool.
Smolderthorn was the server I played on for a long time.
So let's do a quick playthrough. We'll do it on a different POV. I think Homeboy's got one.
Are we pretty sure this guy does not have arachnophobia mode turned on? Like, these are the actual model?
That's the actual model. He does not have arachnophobia.
He also looks like a Pixar dad.
It's a Pixar what?
Pixar dad.
Pixar dad? This guy?
Yeah.
Oh, preheat? Yeah, we were talking about the boss model. I was like, how does that look like a Pixar dad? I see what you're saying, though. That's fair.
Watch some different Pixar movies.
So we'll just watch this to get the flow. I'll just let this play through. So I think first group just went down. So second group's going to go down. Looks like the spawn's far. Typical DPS is not, has no need, like not looking at it at all. But yeah, it's over there.
I love that he's casting Frostfire bolts.
So he's moving way more and faster than he needs to. Like, look at how far the tentacle is behind him. I don't think that blood does anything. Like, that's just an indicator that a tentacle is coming. I think. The way it looks to me is it's not taking damage on him right away, so he doesn't need to move that fast.
I feel like the blood better do something, otherwise you just move back and forth. Like the black pool.
I don't know that would be that bad. Look, it doesn't. His health isn't ticking even a little bit, and he has a heal absorb on him right now. So if it did tick, it would right there. You'd notice it. Okay, gore splatter. They are completely separated. I hate this. Your healers hate this, by the way. Group up near the gate.
I hear that the healer evokers don't mind if the group is spread out and split up.
By the way, right now, the way this hitbox is working is Fire Mage spreads ignites to all of the ads across the platform off of the boss from here. You take 500% increased damage.
Like how he is just spreading ignites. Look at this.
Yeah, it's very stupid. And look at all the fire mages, just enjoying life. So they're incentivized to take an extra one, like pop extra cooldowns. You take 500% increased damage from that frontal, though, if you go twice in a row. But there may be something where we send like a certain type of class twice down, if they can. Like
oh gosh, those stuff have been crap.
Something. Yeah. This is a really good spawn. Those harbingers are not that far. He does not want to go down. So yeah, it's interesting that when you're in the down phase, you can still hit the boss. So like a funnel class would be definitely super happy to go down there, and depending on the tuning, we might need more boss dam. Dude, his Phoenix sounds amazing. Screech! I think that's what that is. Dude, he was literally on the other side of the platform and he got there in 2 globals. He's with the group.
Yeah, I don't know how he did.
And he still has... And now he's got alter? Is he going to alter back? Nah. Needed the gate. Needed to click it too. Call him out. He sucks at the game. No gateway control shard bound.
Gateway
Probably
control
he-
shard wasn't working on beta.
No, he sucks. Don't spread that nonsense.
Yeah.
Does he top meters on here? Is that why he uploaded this?
That would be a preheat thing to do.
He's way above the next
Oh,
person.
nice. We got
Ooh, Ryan Reynolds.
got Deadpool. There's a skip button, Core.
He puts his on his lower back. Yeah, I just wanted to hear that. All right, cool. Look at this spawn. Look at these 2 harbingers here, and then there's just one on the left. They got so lucky again.
Are they influencing them somehow, you think?
As far as they know, no. They were testing like stacking in one area, and they were still getting spawns on the far side. But, you know, we don't know exactly for sure. Maybe, but looks like not. He's starting to figure out he can go pretty slow. He's still going faster than he needs to, though. Cool. So I think we learned what we needed to learn there. Any last observations before we move on to our next and final boss? We should be done here in about 20 minutes. I think 3 is probably enough for the brain, right?
I do have one question. Why can I see your calculator?
Why not?
He's gonna reveal it later.
I was gonna
okay, thank you.
possibly do some tooltips calculation based on like your percentage health, like to see how hard some of these mechanics were hitting, but didn't actually end up working that way.
Sorry, I thought it was my calculator, so I like tried to click it earlier, and it didn't work, and then I had to know why it was there.
There you go. What were you trying to calculate on my calculator?
Yeah, I don't know. I just saw it there. I was like, man, this is really annoying.
Just random?
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna move this off my screen.
Oh, okay.
Oh, not my calculator.
Yeah, I think that's pretty straightforward, although it can definitely get out of hand, and we're going to want to have a good strategy going in. There are definitely going to be some classes that handle some of those things a lot better than others, and exploiting that might be important, although it's just a second or third boss, so who knows. It might be the one that it could hold us back if we're not ready for it. It could just be fairly easy depending on how that's tuned and how we're ready for it. Cool. Let's move on to Rash'anan, which I believe could be 4 or 5 or something like that. 5 or 6, or maybe... Oh, no, it's probably
4 on
boss
that list.
4. Yeah, you can split and do either one of these first, and then I think you can do either one of these first. Ovanax or Kaiveza is what Kaya was telling us earlier. So yeah, probably boss 4 regardless. Let's see, what do I have here? We'll go with this one. So this boss, actually, we fight in one of the dungeons beforehand, so that's why it starts at 60% health. So now it's back, and it's here to take its revenge, and it's a flyer guy. Spoilers.
Dude, we could get it to 60% with just 5 people. This should be a pushover.
I actually watched the video on this one. This fight.
There's some cool stuff in this fight, but it seems maybe unfinished. They might need to add something. Bro, look at that. By the way, my healer buds, look at that burst off of that mechanic at the beginning. Ugh! On their raid frames. And then the dot actually isn't all that bad when it keeps on going, but the initial application is huge. So it's something to think about. Might be a good use of personals there, because all the damage is front-loaded. So that mechanic is interesting. So it spawns like an egg sac or whatever, but you are chained to it, kind of. And then when you leave this ground, it snaps and does raid damage, kind of like that homeboy in whatchamacallit raid, Sanctum of Domination. What was that guy? Garrosh? There were the chains to snap. It's kind of like that. Although they're not doing any damage on this version, so they all just snap them all at the same time, and they're fine. So if that's tuned difficultly, we might actually have to coordinate who snaps and when. So stay tuned for that, but that's kind of wild. How that
I'm sure in
mechanic
Mythic
works.
will have to coordinate that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They didn't just throw that in there to be not a mechanic.
So this is the cool. So we got the raid damage, and this one's really cool. This is a new type of indicator that they have here. So this is the wave. There's a line that spawns basically on you, and then the gradient is a indicator of which way the wave is going to go when it spawns. So they did this correctly. This guy went left, this guy went right, and it'll spawn the wave away from the raid. And
oh wait, what's the deal? So if you're the spawn target, you can see the line and the direction, but everyone else can just see a line?
Yeah, it looks like.
Because it looked like he could see his own direction, but not the other guys.
Right, you can't see the direction if it's not on you. It doesn't look like. But you'll know real soon if they did it wrong, right? Like, because it's going to come at you from both sides. So what's also interesting is it takes those web pools or whatever, that gunk on the ground, and it turns it to poison gunk. And it's smaller. It's a smaller pool. So I imagine this slows you and this just does damage.
Such a cool looking fight. I love the way that the poison separates.
I love that too, yeah. I think it's super cool.
You mean on the waves?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then you've got ad spawns here. So you want to Olympic rings these, right? Get them as close together and probably closer to the boss, ideally, so that you can just cleave off the boss and stun him. I don't like the way they're spawning these at all. I would move these in, probably something like that. They die insta though. Like, people just cleave them really fast.
I also know on Mythic you get 3 beams.
Yeah, but
Three waves, you mean?
which way is the third one going? We don't know yet.
They don't know yet.
It could be going back or forward, and that would be kind of cool if that was the case.
Might as well go all 4.
Boss flies away, by the way. Boss flies away, by the way. Super scary. It's flying away.
It's kind of like one of those bugs, and you're trying to kill it, and then it starts flying, and you just give up, and you nope out of there.
He's doing damage, like raid damage, while he's flying here. This is the worst case scenario for healing, right? Because everybody's running, you have to run, and you're taking damage. There's a kick on the boss to get him to stop casting, so you move. So you're going to want to watch your health while you're moving. But there's nothing to DPS here, so you're not doing your DPS rotation, so that shouldn't be a big deal. So spawns random swirlies. Really interesting indicators, by the way. I don't know if you caught that. The green ones are not permanent, but then they have a different indicator for the ones that are going to be permanent and leave a pool. I've never seen them do that before. I don't know if that's going to stay in. By the way, people were complaining about this. Is the same grip mechanic basically that you saw in the first fight. But what's interesting is if everybody soaks it, it doesn't move you at all. If you notice, like they didn't even move, like, at all. It didn't grip them at all. But what's interesting is it still moves you like a millimeter, but you don't feel it, and so it cancels your cast. So the casters are like, wait, what? That's what they're saying, is that they're saying they hate it just because of that. It like canceled your cast from like a millimeter grip. So then it basically is rinse repeat from here. So you got those waves. You got this raid AoE. And then you've got the snaps and the ads. He's doing the ads. He flies away to spawn the ads for whatever reason. It doesn't look right. He's not actually flying away. It's just spawning ads. And I think he's still targetable at that point. Let's see. Does he detarget when he does that?
What's nice is you can see the waves if you don't have them. Like which way each one goes.
Yeah, that's actually true on this one.
Oh,
Yeah,
so if you don't have any waves,
He
you can see both.
doesn't have it because
Yeah.
he didn't have it.
Yeah, that's
So
interesting.
only if you have a wave, it's extra clear to you which direction yours is going, so you don't get.
That's
Okay, so
actually
you'll-
I mean,
very nice.
That's actually nice.
That's
That's
well
good.
designed.
No bullshit. Oh, I thought I had the wrong wave.
I mean, if they're backwards, then everybody's dying anyways, because you ain't dodging that.
That's what blink is for.
Yeah, some of the portal people can do it. Cool. So that's basically it. Some interesting ideas for this fight. He can fly anywhere, by the way. This isn't a set location. He can go around the other way each time. He can go back the other way. It looks like he flies and then does... You do one intermediate where you kick him, and then he flies somewhere else again and sets up permanently.
Fuck, my leg.
Somebody else is here.
Larry gets a point.
Larry. I'll type
Half
him
a
into
point,
the,
half a point,
the
half
sheet.
a point.
Half a point.
We're playing League, we're not doing raids.
Larry, well, half a point.
Yeah, he kind of pulled him in like a good 5 yards, maybe 10 yards.
Yeah, and that's dependent on how many people soak, right? So, well, it looks like almost whole raid. Oh, yeah, there was like a little pull afterwards. It wasn't immediate. I don't know why it didn't do that before. Interesting. I hate the way they're spawning those ads. Hate that. Hate that a lot. Put those close.
What's the name of it?
The ads?
Infested spawn?
Yeah, I think so. That sounds good.
Also, for rough numbers, they're having to do double the healing that they had to on this fight for other ones, I think.
Oh,
Like
were
the
you
Valley's
looking
got
at
that
the...
1 million?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So heroic, when those things spawn, it damages everybody around them as well.
Yeah, that's the green
why it's
circles that you're
spread.
seeing. Yeah,
So you
don't-
wouldn't stack them.
You'd Olympic rings them, yeah. You'd cluster them as close as you can without stacking, yeah. So yeah, so that's that fight. That's Rash'anan. That's basically everything there. I think, depending on tuning, let's see if we can go to this guy's platform. So he spawned, I believe, let's say over here, right? Oh, the boss actually isn't one of the things I can use. Let's say this is the boss. I think he was right here at the beginning. So depending on how it's tuned and the way that we need to handle it, it might actually be best if you get the webs. There should be 4 of them, right? If you get the webs, rather than just running to the side, because if you notice, if these guys run to the side and then the boss flies this way to be interrupted, you've kind of created a wall for yourself. So what we might want to do is actually run your webs more towards the back, like backside. And that way, no matter which way the boss goes, it's out of the way. And then when he was over here, right, that's what we saw in this video, he was over here, then you would want like instead, you'd want to put him I
They
think
stacked them with the other green ones that were already put down. Look kind of good, actually.
yeah, you could play it off of that, but I think it's important as well that they're just not in your way where you're gonna want to go. So you could actually go front left, front right here with these, and that would be decent because no matter where he goes, if he goes left, if he goes over here, you still got a place. But you wouldn't want, it's not a one size fits all, right? Like, because when he was over here, we ran back. But if you do that over here and you're back, obviously you'd screw yourself out of this opportunity. That'd be weird. So there might be something a little bit to think about in terms of like setting yourself up for success and not putting stuff where you want to go. Again, this also is dependent on tuning and whether or not that's important.
They get pushed with the waves though, right?
Not pushed, but they get deleted and turn into poison puddles instead of slow puddles. So they're still, but they're smaller too. They turn like green and then they go smaller. Do I have a nice green?
Would that ever, I guess, warrant
that's for the text.
You know, you just want to make sure that there were the like. I guess it depends on how much the puddle damage it does, like damage happens. Then it might be worth just turning them into those.
Yeah, I'm trying to just assume that we need to take the mechanics seriously at first and like have some ideas for how we might have to do it. But yeah, you're right. Like it depends, right, on tuning, whether or not that's going to be important or not, because it could just be a moot point if it's whatever.
Can you go to the like the 3/4 mark where they started going back toward where they started? And are those poison pieces they had from the first? Yeah, they're still there. Okay.
Oh, they're like, yeah,
from the original.
They're permanent. Yep.
Gotcha.
So yeah, this might become an issue. I don't know. It depends on how much those hurt, right? If like you stick your toe in and it does 50% of your life, then you can take that super seriously. If you can just run across it and it doesn't, do much to you, then who cares, right? And I'm talking about nothing. Let's see. So
1 million nature damage every 1 second.
So the tank one, the wound, physical and nature damage every 1 second for 18 seconds. Effect stacks. The rolling acid. That's the one that we like the look of.
Oh, there's the acid pool right there. I read a bit ahead, sorry.
Yes. So right now it does no damage. Also, the snap from the other one does no damage, so.
On beta, it says 1 mil.
1 mil per snap or what? Or for the acid pool?
Acid pool every second, 1 mil.
Okay, so it's like 25% of your life. So you could go across it quick if you absolutely have to, but you want to avoid touching it. Okay, that's the way that should be tuned. I think that's good.
The strands say, which one is it? The snap? Or is the web reeve? Is that the one you're talking about?
I believe so.
It's 30 million split between players.
No, that must be the pull.
Okay.
Is the web reeve. Spinneret's web snap.
Oh, the strands?
Yeah. How's that tuned?
1.3.
Okay, so you're talking 30% of your HP per one? So
and
yeah,
then it says,
you can't, if that's the case, you don't want to snap all 4 at once.
Yeah, it says this tether inflicts 400k nature damage every 1 second.
Yeah, so
I'm guessing to the person. So
the person that has to delay needs to pop a personal. That's tough. Yeah, so we'll have to definitely plan around those snaps for sure. The person that is probably will be like for simplicity 2 and 2, and I don't know exactly how we'll organize who snaps and who doesn't. It might just be
people. Your cooldown, AoE cooldown usage there, or master and stuff like that.
Yes.
I think Hulk should snap because he's got resistance to gamma radiation.
wait, what?
Sorry,
is there radiation here?
Couldn't resist. Nah,
nature damage.
No.
I thought you
whoever
were
has bigger
actually
cooldowns.
tying in Marvel and these mechanics. I would have been impressed. So
Mages can snap.
You can cold snap. So yeah, it might just be like if you have a big personal and you can wait, then you do it. But maybe it might just be stack a couple of DR like raid cooldowns and then just snap all 4 anyway. Just make sure people are top going into it. That's kind of been the meta, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Could also be a snap 3 and external the last guy angle.
Could be, yeah, where the healers just call like, homeboy, wait. It's gonna be you. You're of the 4. You're the one that's the waiter.
You're the chosen one.
Yeah, and then once we heal a little bit more, then you snap later. Like the rule might be, wait until nobody's below 50% HP, and then snap is once on the last one. Yeah, there might be like a last control valve. That'd be interesting.
I wonder if you die with it, it probably blows up at the same time, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. Probably. While Rash'anan flies, yeah, he does a bunch of nature damage to you while he's flying, so yeah, that might be, that's definitely watch yourself, hover the Hellstone health pot as we're moving around kind of thing, depending on how much damage that's doing. Typically those are just awful moments for the raid group because the healers can't plant.
That's the AG Nature's Vigil type thing.
Yeah. You can drop a healing tide totem if it's up, but that's about it.
Also, we could think about saving something like M for that because you can use it while moving and save SLT for the snaps.
Yeah, that's true. You could,
plant.
yeah, you could. I'd worry about the players that are snapping, but you can put like domes down, you know, like AMZs and like that sort of thing for the snaps. That's probably the best mechanic to use it on because when are you going to use AMZ?
Physical or magic?
Nature.
Okay, nature. So
If
magic.
you have SLT down, you just have all the pallies sack each person, you know? Everybody gets a sack.
Yep. Could be. Could be. Yeah. Fight looks cool though. Interesting to note as well, it starts at 60%, so you may get
Hunters are useless.
More value. Hunters are useless. Take them out. Who cares? And you may
Execute classes.
More value, yeah, out of execute in that flashbang.
Hunters come back. Yeah.
But in the dungeon swabbles, you'll get a ton of value because it stops at 60%. So big hunter value in the dungeon.
But then I don't get any kill shot.
Okay, so I think the last thing to do is let's just watch that fight one more time through. We'll do it from a, what is this, Arms Warriors POV. Let's see how that goes.
Is that Dreddy?
No, this is, I think this is like a French guild or something like that. Savage Assault, Tank Mechanic. Yeah, that's the thing that hurts on here, but the snap actually is going to be the thing that hurts the most. And I think these mechanics were overlapping on beta currently. What did he die to?
I did not see.
I don't know what that druid died to. This guy turned into a void spawn. He's got like a trinket that does that. I forget which one does that, but there's a trinket. This overlap is nasty, by the way. I don't think it should do that on live, but having the snaps and the ad spawn at the same time, handleable, but nasty.
Their placement is terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, again, this is dependent on tuning, but... Oh, so he went right this time. Leap, charge, kick. Hunter still got the kick first. Idiot warrior.
Wrecked idiot.
Nerf Shadow Priest.
I mean, I think this can be a dot class dream just because he's fucking running all over the place.
Yeah, except for dots. Dot classes don't have mobility, so you like you win in one aspect and lose in the other. Oh, they crossed. Did you see that? They were like, oh, who's got what? They went the wrong way initially, and then they're like, wait, no. Oh.
That's when the raid leader's freaking yelling at him. Do you not see the green?
I mean, we all know that's how ours is gonna look. Come on now.
It should, yeah. The first couple of times you see it, especially. I don't know that this guy gets it so that we can actually test again and see if you don't have it. I like the way they spawn these better. Oh my gosh, they deleted them. So yeah, I would think front left, front right for these would be what you'd want. He actually sits in one place for quite some time once he does. He doesn't move around a ton. Where's he gonna go? Back. I wonder if he ever goes around the back or if he always just goes back to the front. The same hunter got the kick.
Don't expect much.
Interesting, he stops here in an intermediary spot, like one of the long sides. I had a theory for a second that he could like not stop here and only had to stop at like one of these like bigger points, either on the middle or the corners, but he actually stops here right now. I said I wasn't going to stop the video and I did, sorry.
I have high expectations, Swabbles.
I don't expect much, bro. Counter shot. It's coming. I mean, after a disengage, I get 5 extra yards on it, so.
Dude, once the snap is tuned, look, everybody's like mid health to like low. If that snap is tuned to do 30% on all 4 of them, that's gonna be brutal. If you have burst AoE and you don't sacrifice much single target for the burst, you love this fight. You just like burst those ads down and keep doing what you're doing. If your AoE requires like setup, you don't feel so good. Okay, so he stopped. He did like the intermediary. Okay, there.
That's probably the worst movement you can RNG right there, though.
Yeah, didn't he go like pretty much all the way across? It was like maybe 70% of the way across. Of like a full flip.
I wonder how tank range works while he's moving. Like maybe it just doesn't matter until he plants again type thing.
Oh, like if the tank is going slowly getting there?
Does he just turn and start like owning people?
Could be. A lot bosses like this that don't have a tank in range usually punish you really hard.
Does he have just eat himself?
Well, I would assume that you don't kick until the tank's
He could have. I didn't see.
That was totally Vex right there with moving that green beam. We're totally going to be seeing that crap.
Like, oh, wait, where was it? It was right here, I think. Yeah. Oh, went the wrong way. Went back the wrong way. There we It kind of doesn't matter as long as they don't end up on the wrong side. It kind of doesn't matter because your only play as the group is to sit in the middle. What is that video editing?
Hell?
That's video editing. That's insane.
What was that?
It was amazing. That's what it was.
I think it's a kill.
Stop.
Cool. Any last thoughts about this or this process? I wanted this to go until 9 maximum, so I'm kind of happy that this is stopping here. We're going to have a few more of these so we can definitely get through the bosses and then revisit. And I think when we go through it on Mythic, we can go a little bit quicker because we've seen it.
These really didn't look too bad.
Yeah, they're the earlier bosses anyway. But yeah, they're not... I don't know, it's not a bunch of mechanic vomit, right? Like, it's really understandable and fairly straightforward.
It feels almost like the whole purpose of the boss is just to teach you this wave thing, which will be like a big thing on a harder boss. And this one's almost like, hey, it's a give me just because we want you to learn it, you know?
Yeah, it could be waves, it could be snaps. Those are the big mechanics that I see in the fight that you really need to coordinate. I don't know. Fourth boss oftentimes is a wall, so this could be a wall.
To be a DPS thing.
Yeah, how they tune it. Well, it could be a healing survivability wall.
I think that's going to be a big factor to play in the long run on like a fight like this. That you're going to have to be meticulous about where you're dropping.
Yeah. And then smart about your movement. Have like somebody assigned to every...
Well, it looks like Melee is going to hate that fight too.
Dude, I feel like this fight is going to be all RNG based. Does he go where all your other shit is?
Maybe. I hope not, man. That would be awful. I hope not.
I mean, I hope it's not that, but I'm just saying, like, just kind of like looking at it, it's like, man, if he just like bounces between two spots that he keeps spitting stuff at, that's just gonna be annoying. Then you have the God pull where he always goes somewhere new, and it's nice and pretty.
Oh, true. I see what you're saying. In some sense, it's like would be better if he just goes back and forth because then, like, there's a little less movement. But if he always goes somewhere new, it's like also better because it's clean.
Yep.
On the ground.
So is that wave clearing the gray webs?
Green puddles they turn them into those green puddles.
Okay.
So yeah, like we were saying earlier, it flashbang, it makes them smaller, right?
So like pixel stacking and letting those waves be as close to you as possible probably has a lot of value.
Oh, to like clear as many of these webs so you don't miss any of them, you mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, like making it a tight corridor, group stacks. Yeah, could be. You have to maximize it that much. That's cool. That's cool to think about. The yellow swirls or the permanent swirls? I wonder if they left that in on accident. That seems like something that they would do. Like that was for developer mode to see that, but we want to take that out for the players so that they don't have that. Because it's not thematic for acid to be a yellow swirl, right? Like there's no lore behind that.
Yeah, but I guess you have seen them like slowly making less things reliant on like weak ores and stuff, or they're trying to as much as they can. So that could also be their.
It could be a philosophy shift.
To that.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
Should be nice.
We'll find out next time. All right, y'all. I think we wrap this up. I think we call it there for tonight. It's 3 bosses. This is a 8 boss raid, and we're only going to be able to review 7. I think the other bosses are going to be more complex, so we'll probably do 2 per night from here on out. I don't want too much cognitive overload because I don't think we're going to retain very much of it at all if we do it, but I appreciate you all. I think this was a good showing. I'm excited to see who's going to watch this on YouTube. Shout out YouTube, the guys. If you guys want to say hi to YouTube, this is going to go on YouTube. But yeah,
I would also like to call out for anybody who does want to watch